Whew. It's been a while since I've done pull-ups. The back is quite tight, especially after all that sitting from my flights from different parts of the world. New Year's Eve was in KL, Malaysia with my wife to bring in the new year. And then within 12 hours of landing, went to visit my parents on the village side, so that was like several hours of sitting in the car. And then came back, and later that night, like past midnight, I had my flight to Dubai, which I sat on the runway for 90 minutes thanks to Bangladesh's inefficiencies. And then Dubai, a lot of running around, a lot of switching hotels, a lot of interviews, a lot of creating content, which I'm experimenting with. And then finally, flying back to my beloved Bangladesh to immediately lose my phone. Being exhausted. Oh, by the way, not to mention that flight was delayed. Anyway, just saying I went through a lot on a wild chase to try to recover my phone with the Find My Phone location tracking, and an hour away from the airport in some old lady's bag, we found this baby. So it was a wild adventure yesterday, and then I went to sleep and didn't wake up until 2 p.m. today. Then finally got a chance to sit down, start catching up on messages, start catching up on content to post, working with my staff, and starting to invest into building the brand, building the culture, building a life and story and community, a tribe that is worth being a part of. By the way, if you're wondering about our sponsor for the day, it's these two ducks that are providing the meal. That's right, duck fried rice and Peking duck, which is actually where I used to work. My first job in the US was at a Chinese restaurant called Peking Duck House. I was the, what do you call it? A host, the guy that would bring you, or seat you down, bring you the menu, and when you're ready to pay, take the payment and process that, take orders over the phone. Got paid $6.50 an hour under the table, and that was my first job in the middle of high school. Started saving up, started having some dreams, and being able to buy a few things for myself, for my family, and started from there. $6.50 an hour. And deeply grateful for, by the way, my father started at Burger King when he arrived to the US in like 1998 at $4.50 an hour. And his first job that I got to learn about that was in Bangladesh as like a record keeper or something was $1 a month. That's right, $1 USD per month. That's right, little guy. We made it to the top. But deeply grateful for my humble beginnings. These ducklings were a gift from my wife, as it was just a little gesture of my childhood nature. I used to have ducks when I was a kid. I remember those times before we left to go to America. I was just a village kid running around barefoot, playing with other village kids, having ducks and chickens and goats, and I think a cane, like a what are those? The one with the long beak. I wanted to discuss where exactly we are with building this. This is the greatest asset that I am building, more than any particular project, more than any particular investment or income stream. I want to find something that I can work lifelong. And look at these little guys, they're like baby dinosaurs. I did want the little yellow fluffy ones. I just got them today. I was working and then I heard chirping and I was like, are my cats starting to make bird noises? And I really appreciate my wife for supporting my wild side of these things, and instead of like being like, ducks, you're a grown-ass man, why would you need ducks? like being weird by yourself is quite weird. Being weird with your life partner is fantastic. It is, you made it. So as we're starting to come into some money, as I checked my wallet from yesterday, no, 2 days ago, from like Dubai to now, my wallet grew by $10,000. And I was talking to my wife, like, as we're starting to get into this money, which won't last, what to do with it, how to build the asset that will last. And it's not just investments into project A, B, or diversifying across a multitude of projects and markets and portfolio risk tolerance, but rather, as Alex Hormozi would say, and I really love this way of thinking about it, I was asking this woman, like, how much do you make? Let's say you make $100,000 a year. He said, it's costing you $900,000 a year not knowing how to make $1 million a year. It may sound silly and obvious, but essentially what he's saying is that we are paying an ignorance tax on the amount of money that we're not able to make. And the greatest investment that we can make with money is learning the how to fill in that gap. Because if someone with a more strategic and brilliant mind that knew how to navigate my space or this space of entrepreneurship, if Alex Hormozi stepped into my, I was talking to my wife about this during brunch, about like, I have the resources, I have the assets, I feel that I'm just missing some key parts of how to scale or how to do this in a way. If I had like, or again, if Alex Hormozi stepped into my life with exactly the conditions that I have right now, he would be able to turn all of the assets and the little funding that I have and turn that into, in some incredible story, some incredible empire. And the reason that I don't know that path is because I don't have the zoomed out view of like, this is what you should do. And I think I am heading in a much more different direction than I have in the past, which was, I was telling my wife, again, I tell her a lot of things, that like when I was making $100,000 a week, I was investing into different projects every week, $100,000 every week into a different project. I was thinking that I was doing something to de-risk myself. But the problem is I was putting $100,000 every week into the same risk category of high risk, high return. So in a matter of like 6 to 8 months, they all went kaput. And yeah, out of that, I was able to save myself $1 million plus, but I could have bought different types of assets. I could have learned to invest into myself as opposed to out there, variables that I don't control. And now having gone through such experiences, not just once, multitude of times, I'm learning to invest into myself, into my infrastructure, into the things that don't immediately give an ROI. And that is my skill sets, that is deeper connections with my high-valued clients that I actually enjoy working with, that is building a brand, a tribe, a community, a culture that is worth being a part of, that is worth scaling, as well as leveling up my content creation skills and infrastructure, hiring more staff, hiring more softwares and services and other things like that, instead of just how to make an immediate ROI. So that's the direction that I'm starting to go in. I wanted to just catch up with you guys after what seemed to be a long time of being away in multiple countries. Today, my mom was saying, please stop traveling. And I was like, I want to, but unfortunately, this month, still in January, I have 2 other countries to go to. Man, I have the opposite problem of someone who wants to travel and someone who wants to see the world. They're like, I don't get to go anywhere. I'm like, I would like to stay home. I would like to sleep in the same bed for a month. That would be a nice luxury. But, welcome to my adventurous life full of who knows what. I wasn't expecting these ducks today, but, I really, really want to dive into building a life that I enjoy, building a life that is not the North Star, how do I make more money, but rather how do I live an interesting and exploratory life? How do I live a life that is true to myself, true to my values? How do I live a life that I will have great stories and memories and moments, and money being a byproduct of it? I don't think we want more money. I think we want more freedom. I think we want to be able to do the things that allow us to explore. By the way, if you're wondering what they're eating, this is dried chickpeas. So, okay, you can eat this off of your back if you want. I'll just leave it here. It's some food to go. Oh. Okay, so these are my two boys for now until we figure out what to do with them. Babysitting my ducks. But I'm deeply interested in this phase of my life where I believe I have the opportunity to turn the direction of what happens in the next stage of my life. I've been in this particular vertical of this wavy up and down roller coaster, but I think now having someone who's deeply dependent on my life, my wife, which is different than my parents, which is different than my brothers. There's no one who is as dependent on me, both how I'm doing financially, how I'm doing mentally, how I'm doing spiritually, how I'm doing health-wise, in a way that even I wasn't. Sometimes I was even careless about my health, about pursuing things, about wanting to make this life into all that it could be. Because when you're just focused on or needing to answer to yourself, you can kind of convince yourself like, oh, I don't need that, and maybe I can do without this. But when there's someone that you really want to make proud, someone that you really love, and that she's put her whole life into my hands, into the chaos that is my life, I'm beginning to think about things in a longer term way. I'm thinking about finance in a different way as well. And so that's been a huge shift in my life. Yes, there's some crazy purchases like this to keep things interesting, but there's also a vision of like, okay, how do I build something that I am a lot more in control of? How do I build not just income, but a lifestyle that fits in with what I want my life to be like with now having a life partner? So those are some of my thoughts here and now today. Again, I want to thank our beautiful sponsors for helping us to bring this to you guys all over the world. And I wish you guys a beautiful, beautiful year ahead of the growth that comes with discomfort, of the challenges that will carve you into the person that I believe you wish to be as well. I don't just wish the immediate good things for everyone. I wish you to go through the fire that will forge you into the gem that you ultimately are inside. And that does not come with, comfortable days and getting a full 8 hours of sleep all the time or everything going right. It actually comes with almost nothing going right and figuring it out, and the person that figures it out is the prize of who you get to become. And of course, the byproduct of all of that is the outwardly success, but the true inner value of that and the reward of all of that is who you become. Because as a reference, if some of the greats that we look up to lost everything, they would be able to build it all back up, because the greatest asset that they have built up is not their portfolio, but who they are. Their mentality, their skill set, their philosophies, their views and perspectives, and that is the path that I'm on. So hopefully you enjoy the show, enjoy the Solocast, and enjoy your own path of growth. Let me go put my little ducks to bed. With that, I will catch you guys next time. Peace.